Hey guys, it's the audiobook reviewer. I'm Gabrielle and I'm here to review audiobooks, period. So we're going to talk about the Bargainer series by Laura Thalassa. And it was narrated by Susanna Jones. Book 1 is called Rhapsodic, The Bargainer Book 1. We're going to get into it today. I am very excited to review this book because it's still fresh in my mind. I just got done listening to the series. I'm actually rereading the series again because it was that good. So you already know how I feel about this book. It was actually pretty darn amazing. So we're going to get into the non-spoiler section of this review. This book is about Calypso Lillis. She starts out the book, something traumatic happens to her. She needs to fix the situation, and she calls in the Bargainer. The Bargainer, another character in this book, comes in, basically helps her, fix this problem, and then gets her life back on track. He leaves, and then 7 years later returns to collect all the favors because he is the Bargainer. In exchange for helping her to do certain things, he is expecting payment, right? So 7 years later, he comes back to fulfill those favors, to get to ask for those favors or repayment for all the favors that he, helped, take care of her and, help her to fix that whatever problem that she had. I don't want to get into too much because this is a non-spoiler section, but yeah, he comes back 7 years later to collect. And that's where the story takes off. What I can say about this is that it is a story about the Fae world, and also is a combination of the Fae world and the modern world. It's kind of like what I'm seeing, but the modern world is very much fantasy. Like the modern world has mystical and magical creatures like werewolves and sorcerers, but the Fae can access this modern world, and visit this world, which is how the Bargainer is there, because the Bargainer happens to be Fae. So I'm not gonna get into too much more of this. I will say that I actually really love this story. I actually enjoyed the plot. This was such a unique storyline. I don't think I've ever seen a storyline quite like this, although I feel like this story was definitely influenced by Court of Thorn and Roses. It gave me Court of Thorn and Roses vibes. For sure. It just reminded me of this story so much. I don't want to give away too much, but let's just say that I'm very much reminded by Court. If you love A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, you will absolutely love this book. As a matter of fact, I actually prefer this one over Court. I know. That's such an unpopular opinion, but it's my truth, and that's what it is, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the spoiler portion of this review. So if you have never read this series, and if you don't want to be spoiled about this storyline, and you're like, I'm definitely interested, then go ahead and click out of this video. But if you're like me, who likes to listen to spoiler reviews before I read a book, then keep on watching. Okay, you guys, let's get into this book tea, because this is a lot's going on in this story. First of all, the main character, her name is Calypso Lillis, and she is a siren, which I think is so amazing, because I haven't read a story where a siren was a main character, much less a character in the story. So the fact that she is a siren and she's the main character, I was so excited, because I got to kind of learn about a new mystical creature character that I hadn't read about before. So I was very excited about that. The thing about her powers is that her voice is very melodic, and whenever she speaks, it sounds very much like music almost, and that musical type of voice carries power. The power to make someone else do what she wants them to do. She can legit command and take control of their will with her voice. And that's basically what they say sirens did, right? They would lure men out to the sea and make them drown in the ocean. That's pretty much what she does with her voice, but in the modern day world. She also is, so before I get ahead of myself, So the book starts off when she was 16 years old. Fair warning, this book has some rape content because her stepfather was touching her, okay? And she, in the beginning of the story, legit, that's how the story opens up. Like, she murders him, right? I'm just like, what? It starts off with a murder. Like, it starts off describing a murder scene in the middle of a murder scene. And I was immediately captivated by the storyline. I was from the very first line, I was captivated. And I've read many books, and not many books can do that for me. This book definitely captured my attention. It started off with a murder. She killed her stepfather, and she went ahead and called the bargainer, which on Earth, you know, he comes in, fixes problems, and then, you know, says, okay, you owe me something. I'm gonna come and collect eventually. So she calls him in, and he is this fine, handsome, fae guy with white blonde, platinum blonde hair, and fae ears, his pointy ears, and he's like all like rock star, because he's like rocking the rock star look with tattoos. And he comes in, she was shocked because she's thinking a bargainer is gonna be kind of like, gross looking or weird or creepy, but he was super fine. And he comes in, and immediately you can tell he's intrigued by her, right? And so he helps her free of charge. Like, he's like, you know what? I have morals. I'm not going to charge you. And I love that about him. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. She enrolls her in magical school, you know, basically sets her on so she can have a start over her life. And then, you guys, she goes through school. She's super lonely, and she racks up all these favors from him because she's in love with him. She's obsessed with him. She wants him around. She wants his company. So she basically pays for his company by requesting more and more bargains. So she eventually has like 300 and something favors, which is tallied by these beads, which that kind of reminded me, you guys, of Daughter of Smoke and Bones. Like, it reminded me kind of like Karu having all these different things that, you know, I think she had like these little coins or beads, whatever she had, that were basically her payment, her wishes. So it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But yeah, so she collected all of these favors, you guys. And so eventually, you know, she falls in love with him, right? Obviously. And you can also tell that he has feelings for her. And it all kind of came to a head when basically he took her on to the final dance, kind of like prom or like the final ball that these schools normally have. And you can tell like he is in love with her, or he is feeling her or attracted to her, or he wants her like physically. But she's 16, 17, and he's a fae who's like centuries years old. So there's this conflict between, I can't be with you because it's wrong. And her 16 is considered an adult in the magical world on Earth. So she's technically an adult in that world, but he's like, no. Like, literally, he was like, you still have days of the week underwear. I can't be with you, right? So I thought it was interesting. I love the fact that he never touched her while she was underage. And so I actually commend that, because I was a little bit like, not sure how this is going to go here. But I actually love the fact that he kind of was, even though he was attracted to her, he kept his hands off, right? And actually that's the reason, one of the biggest reasons why he left, because it was like to the point where, you know, let me kind of say this, you know, like when you're, you know, I'm married, so I haven't had this happen to me in years, but you know, like when you are, you know, single and you would meet someone, you're like working with them all the time. It's a different environment than when you actually dress up and go out together. It's like a whole different dynamic. I think that the reason why it came to a head, it was because he was hanging out with her all the time, taking her to the bakery, she was having her little, you know, macaroons and all these different things. But what made it kind of, the conflict kind of climax, was the fact that he saw her in a gorgeous dress. She looked beautiful. He was all dressed up, and it just kind of like, he was wrapped up in this moment. So anyway, he leaves because she, you know, she was like, please, we can make this work. Let's, whatever you want from me. And she kind of wishes that he is hers forever. And he vanishes, right? 7 years fast forward, like the story happens and then it's flash forward 7 years. By the way, I love how Laura Thalassa actually wrote the book where it's like present day and then it flash forwards. So like every other chapter is like a back and forth until it kind of comes to the present as to why things was going on. I loved how she wrote that. I think it was brilliant writing. She's an amazing writer. I loved her writing style. The main character, Calypso or Callie, was extremely hilarious to me. She is very snarky, very sarcastic, and funny. I cracked up a couple times reading this book. I enjoyed that, that humor that she has. So fast forward, she's now a PI, has her own company with her best friend Temper, and they are out here, kicking butt, taking names, and they're doing their thing. She also is in a relationship with Eli, who is a werewolf. Yes, there's werewolves in this story. And she's not really feeling it, but she's with him, doing her thing. And all of a sudden, here comes the bargainer, which happens. His name is also Desmond Flynn, by the way. He's so fine. Like, I was just like, yes, Desmond. Yes, Des. Yes, I'm here for you, right? But he comes back to collect his favors, right? And out of the blue, it's like, where did you come from? Why did you leave? What's going on? Come to find out, well, I'm gonna flash forward, but he basically comes and has her does like random things. What cracked me up was like he was like messing with her. Like he had her pick out furniture, and how the bargain works is that his magic will compel you to do whatever he is claiming as a favor. So one of the favors that I thought was hilarious was that he had her go pick out furniture for his home. And, she was picking out the worst, ugliest, most tackiest furniture. And, when she went to purchase it, none of them would ring up. Like the cash register was like, I don't understand. Like, these are all out of stock. What's going on? Actually, the only thing that's available was this like headboard, this bed, or this mirror. Like, only the thing that he wanted was there. But she was like burning. It was like physically painful almost. It felt like her inside was exploding or like being crushed because she was going against the bargain, right? So I thought it was very interesting. It was like literally magically binding, but it was hilarious. So basically he comes back and he wants her to help solve a problem that's going on in his kingdom. By the way, he's a freaking fey king. He's the king of the Night Kingdom, of the Night Court. That's exactly where I say, like, it reminds me very much of Court. He's like Rhysand, but for me, I feel he's Rhysand. He's a Rhysand that I wanted. Like, this is a Rhysand that I wanted. It's like Rhysand on steroids. Like, he's way more dangerous. He's about that life. Like, he will kill who he loves. Like, he's crazy. Like, that kind of person. Very dangerous. I love all of it. I love Temperance. Temperance is a sorceress. Very powerful sorceress. I just enjoyed this storyline, you guys. So basically, here's where we get the antagonist and basically the bad guy of the story is he's called the Thief of Souls. And basically in the Night Kingdom and all the different kingdoms, and so in this storyline, in the other world, the Fey world, there are 4 main kingdoms, and then there are 2 other basically sub kingdoms. So there are the Night Court or the Night Kingdom, Day Court or Day Kingdom. There is the Fauna. What's the other one? Basically, Animal and Plant Kingdom. Okay, because there's Fauna and what's the other one? Like it starts with an F. It's in my mind. But there's the 4 kingdoms, and then there's also the Kingdom of Deep Sea, I think it's called, and then the Kingdom of Death, or the Death Court, or the Court of the Dead, or whatever it is. Those are they kind of are secluded kingdoms. They keep to themselves. And so basically what's happening is that in all the different courts, female warriors, all the female fighters, warriors are being captured, impregnated, and they're coming back with either babies or they're pregnant. I think they're coming back with babies. They're in a deep sleep. They cannot be woken. And then there's also the babies who are extremely creepy. I was like, what is going on? They reminded me of vampires. They literally had fangs and they were sucking blood. Like, they were crazy. They spoke, even as babies, they were creepy. Like, they would all be silent and not moving. And then all of a sudden they would turn their heads and start to talk. I was like, that is creepy, weird. She is brought in because she's a PI. Of course, he wants to kind of have her help out. It's basically, they know it's a Thief of Souls who's basically doing this. And she's eventually captured, you guys. She's captured by the Thief of Souls. And basically this guy is out here trying to impregnate her, and basically take her because, she means something to Desmond or the bargainer. And I was just like, wow, when she was captured, I was so annoyed. I was so angry. And what made it worse was that I was like, what's going on? What took Desmond so long to find her? Like, what was going on? He took a minute. Like, I think she was there for like a week or so before he actually came and rescued her. But when he did not disappoint. I was ready for all the violence. I was ready for the gore. I was ready for the destruction. He came in and obliterated the entire kingdom, essentially. The castle, but like the kingdom was basically destroyed after Desmond came in and rescued his woman. Okay, he was done. So that happened, and I was just, this story, there's so much I can go into. This part stood out to me was that she eventually ended up having wings and scales. And I thought that the moment where I was expecting like Desmond to be like, oh, this is weird and angry and bitter, but he was just in love with her. He was just like, I love you regardless. I love you no matter what. He's basically her mate. They are mates. And he was like, I love you no matter what. Like, he showed her unconditional love. He was supportive. He helped her to love herself. Like, I just thought this book was amazing. And the book basically ends with, she's rescued. She's back to her place. Yeah, like it's a good book. Like, I really love this book. Let me share some of my thoughts. Some things that I thought that I would have loved to see more. Now, I'm a fighter girl, meaning I love good fight scenes. I was missing fight scenes from this story. There were fighting, but it was more like brawling than fighting. And there wasn't very much of it. And so I just missed fighting in this story for some reason, but this isn't like my typical stories that I read that are like assassin type storylines. So I kind of expected that. But, I just kind of missed more of that action because I love fight scenes. Like, I love when Selena Sardathian in Throne of Glass went to rescue her boy, her friend, and she like tore up the entire place. Like, that kind of fight scene is what I love. So for me, when a book doesn't have that, I literally take off points in my mind. So I'm just like, ooh, I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong, this book was perfect the way it was, but I'm a fight girl, so I always want to see some fights, and it wasn't giving me the fight I was looking for. That was one thing. Another thing that I would have loved to see was a little bit more world building. Now, she did an amazing job of giving you a clear description of what the worlds were like on both ends without going too much into details. Like, we know the police aren't really called police on Earth. They're called something other, like the Policia or something, but it's not exactly police. It's a little bit different. The magical sector that kind of makes the rules for the magical world on Earth. They have like laws that they have to stick by. Like, she, like, technically doing her siren compelling with her voice as a siren is against the law, but she does it anyway. But there are laws, there are rules. I just wished, and also like there was a top most wanted list, in which Desmond was like number 3 for a while. Like, after her ex-boyfriend basically found out that he was back, like he put her on the wanted list because he's a police, right? So the world was there, but the world wasn't built up the way I wanted, especially on Earth. The world in the Fae world was built up, and I was able to kind of visually in my mind visualize what the world was like, and she did a very good job of depicting. One of the things that she did that I love, that I couldn't help but comparing between Court of Thorns and Roses and this book, was that I got a very clear understanding of each court. Like, I got a feel, like I was immersed into the actual court itself. Like, the plant, like fauna, I can't remember. Y'all forgive me. But the plant kingdom was gorgeous, floral. I just imagine like an extremely heady floral scent in the kingdom. The homes were built in trees. Like, I just loved the visual I got. Like, I could see this in a movie, and I was here for it. Not so much the animal kingdom, because when she went there, she was more so in prison, so she didn't get to kind of get a good feel of what the place looked like, but she did get to see the people and the Fae. They were half animalistic, like they would have like a lion's tail or a lion's legs or whatever else. So she got to experience that, but we didn't get to see too much of that kingdom. But then the Night Kingdom was gorgeous. There was like different islands that were floating islands, which reminded me of Avatar, like the Blue People Avatar, the movie. So it was amazing. It was beautifully written. It was a beautiful world. I just wish that we got a little bit more of a world building on Earth and more, clarity on the world of Earth, like what it looked like now, the government, like what it was set up like now, because I was like, it's so interesting. Where did it come from? How did all of a sudden we went from random Earth to having an Earth of magical creatures? Was this always happening? What happened? Like even Calypso's stepfather, he was a seer, I think he was, so he could tell, what was going to happen in the future. Just wanted to know more about like how did that world come to be? Why it's like modern day Earth? Like she and Desmond in her dorm room were watching Harry Potter, like. So it's like modern day Earth, but magical. So I wanted to know why. How did this come to be? What was going on? Like, what is her everyday life like? Because it was just mainly with her in school. So I wanted to know more about that. But this story was amazing. I highly recommend you guys read this book. Now let's talk about the narrator. You guys, Susanna Jones is a brilliant narrator. I loved her as a narrator for this book, because as an audiobook reviewer, I have to review the narrator as well, and I give her 5 out of 5 stars. This book is 4.5 out of 5 stars, just because I was wanting a little bit more action, just because like there were some moments that I was just like, I don't know. So I give it 4.5 out of 5, which is still pretty high, but the narrator is a 5.5. Hands down, she was amazing. This audiobook experience was amazing because of how brilliant she was reading this. Like I've read books where when I listened to it, I was like, I can't listen to this book. I can't do it. I can't do it. But she is brilliant. I loved how she read Desmond. I've never heard a woman with such a high voice make a male voice sound so sexy and amazing. Like it was great. And I've heard females who try to narrate a male voice and it sounds like they're trying to go at the bottom of the register and it just sounds bad, but she just sounded amazing. She was great at this. I think that she was one of the best narrators I've heard in a long time. So I give her 5 out of 5 stars as a narrator. She's freaking amazing. let me tell you how good of a narrator she is. I want to find other books she's narrated. Like, that's how good of a narrator she is. The other person that I done that for was the narrator for Throne of Glass. She's amazing, and I was looking for her some of her other books. And there was another one that I was like, he's brilliant, but I can't think of them right now. But she's an amazing narrator, so I give her 5 out of 5. The book, I give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Just because I was looking for some more fight action scenes and I didn't get it. So I just had to take off some points for that. But other than that, if you don't care about fight scenes, like this is a 5 out of 5 stars, period. Because it's a good book. It's a good book. Storyline is a good book. The plot is a good book. Like the plot is amazing. The story is amazing. The characters are amazing and very well developed. I love Temperance. Temperance is a Black girl, which I was like, yes, I'm a Black girl. I was looking for that. And the narrator actually read her personality. So hilarious to me. Like she is a Black girl, like almost like a hood Black girl, but not too hood, but like a cultured hood. But she's about that life. I love Temperance. She was amazing. She is just hilarious to me. Their dynamic as friends are amazing. I just thought it was just a great, great book. Even the leaders of the different kingdoms were developed well. The conflict in there was great. I just love this. It was also very sexy. There's a lot of sexy time scenes in this book. So if you guys are into like the R-rated, very, very much hot sex scenes, this is not a young adult. This is not a YA. This is an adult fantasy. Okay, this is an amazing storyline for that. If you're looking for like a really steamy, hot book, this is that book. So I give it 5 stars for romance, 5 out of 5 stars for romance. I give it 4 stars for action. I give it 5 stars for plot, 5 stars for storyline, 5 stars for actually 4.5 stars for world building. But yeah, it's just an amazing storyline. You guys go pick this book up, go listen to it on Audible. Go listen to this on Audible. I will leave a link below where you guys can get the go ahead and get this book on Audible. Let me know below if you've never read this book. Let me know if you're gonna go ahead and listen to this book below. If you have read this book before, comment your thoughts below. What do you guys think about the book? Did you guys enjoy this book? What were your favorite parts of the book? Who is your favorite character? Desmond is my favorite character. Des is so sexy and so fine. I love Des. He's one of my favorite characters. He is just, he's hot. I love him. Temperance is another one of my favorite. Of course, Calypso is an amazing character, but I love Temperance. I wanted to see more of Temperance. That's another thing that I really wish I had, but I don't want to go on too long. I know this video is already long enough, but that's pretty much it for this review. My very first official review on this channel. Hope you guys like it. Let me know your thoughts below. Tell me what you want to see me talk about more in the stories. Tell me how I did for my first review. I'm a little bit nervous, but I did it anyway. So thank you guys for watching. The Audiobook Reviewer signing off. Bye, you guys.